Welcome to In the Community with Tiffany K.
And we're back with In the Community. I'm Tiffany K. And today I have a special guest, Dan Maher, the president and CEO of Fredericksburg's Regional Food Bank. Dan, how are you this morning?
I'm doing okay. Good to be with you, Tiffany. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in, because I know we have a lot to talk about. What some people may not realize is the Fredericksburg Regional Food Bank works all year long, and summer can be a big time, especially with the summer feeding program. And I'm really excited to talk about this. So let's go ahead and just get into it, shall we?
Absolutely. Let's go.
So what is the Fredericksburg Regional Food Bank? What are you doing to provide meals for youth this summer? I know it's the Summer Feeding of Youth program, correct?
Yeah, we call it our Summer Nutrition Program. It's been rebranded by the USDA as a SUN program to play off the idea of summer nutrition.
Okay.
And, bringing joy, hopefully, and hope to people's lives. Because summer really is one of the most significant times of need within the community for feeding. Often people can be a little bit remote from that if they don't have kids in school, but so many children around the community are fed through the breakfast and lunch programs, the federal programs that operate within the schools. So when summer hits and those school programs aren't operating, there needs to be another mechanism to get those children fed. And so the federal program for the summer is the Summer Food Service Program, which we are one of the contractors for in the community. We're going to have 15 sites going on this summer.
Oh, wow.
And many of the meals are going to be in bulk quantity, kind of a grab-and-go model. We pack up a box of 14 meals, 7 lunches, 7 breakfasts to get families through an entire week. And then at some sites, because of the way the regulations of the program work, the federal regulations in some settings will only allow a meal to be served and not taken off-site. We'll be doing what's called a congregate meal, which is a single meal during the course of the day where families can bring their child. The child eats the meal there on site. And it's a fresh meal that way. And so we'll be operating 4 sites of that nature, 11 sites that are these grab-and-go bulk boxes.
Wow. And you're right. You don't really think about the need in the summer for youth for food-wise, because you do think about it. They go to school, they can get breakfast, they can get lunch, you go home, you have dinner with your family, and some parents can't, unfortunately, do all 3 meals. So I think this is an important program to have in this community.
Yeah, it's really critical. I mean, each year with this grab-and-go model that's been permitted, the program prior to COVID only operated where a child could come and have a sit-down meal. So the child had 1 meal a day that was able to be served to them. While they were there, they could maybe do some educational exercises or something like that. It was very kind of like a school-oriented concept.
Okay.
The pandemic changed a lot of the way that people thought about how this program needs to work. And so what was permitted during the pandemic was a grab-and-go meal. And then that came to be realized by the government. I mean, thankfully, there was some openness to change the program a little bit.
Right.
That in rural settings, especially, that's very critical, because trying to have families travel multiple miles for 1 meal a day was just not very attractive. So this grab-and-go model has really changed some of the way the program has operated. And we went from a output of about 8,000 meals during the summer prior to the pandemic to 32,000 coming out of the pandemic. Last year, we jumped up to about 147,000 meals.
Oh, my goodness.
And so the need is there. The mechanism that this grab-and-go model provides is there. And this year we anticipate exceeding probably at least 200,000, maybe as many as 300,000 or more meals this summer.
Wow. Those are some big numbers, too.
They really are. Yeah, staggering. And yet I think it highlights the fact that when families have a mechanism or a model that can work for them, they demonstrate the need by turning out and taking advantage of the program. And to have 14 meals going home at one time really is so helpful to these families. And so it's great that the pandemic situation created an understanding of how this program could be expanded. And we've been able to take advantage of that and, see a need to do that based on what's been the turnout for our food.
And especially, as you were saying, being able to do it for 14 meals. A lot of parents have to work. They're making the money. The kids are at home, they're trying to pay babysitters, nannies, whatever else. So being able to come and pick those up for the week is the perfect solution for that.
Yeah, you are right on point. I think sometimes the federal programs are a little too bureaucratic and can lose touch with the reality. And so it's good that there's this understanding that the families we're helping are not all just sitting at home. These are families that have lives, that have schedules, that have work obligations and other things they're doing with their children. So to simplify the program at those grab-and-go sites. But again, in kind of an urban setting or a suburban setting, the rule still is in place that you can only serve a meal one time a day. And
Okay.
so we're working with some of the libraries in the community. Those are our main sites to be able to have sit-down meals for the children. And that's a nice environment then. It's air-conditioned. It gives them exposure to books and things of that nature. So it does do a little bit of that old model of let's give the kids an enrichment program in addition to the feeding of the children. So, that works in its own way, but certainly the volume of meals is not as high in the urban and suburban settings.
And you were just talking about the libraries is where you have your on-site lunches or meals throughout the day. What are specifically the areas that you serve? And then where can people find some information about where to go for that?
Sure. Because there's 15 sites, it's rather exhaustive, and I would send people primarily to fredfood.org, which is our website.
Okay.
There they can click on the summer nutrition program and see all the sites. There's also registration, so you can sign your child up so that we know what site you want to come to for a meal. And if somehow you don't register in advance, simply by showing up at a site that you see there, we can get you registered while you're there picking up your first set of meals. But,
perfect.
Certainly it does help to pre-register, so we kind of expect and anticipate you coming.
Okay.
But also there's a text line which allows people not only to see our sites, but sites across the community that might be operated by other like school districts or other contractors that have the ability to provide summer meals. So that text is using the word food or comida, texting to 304-304. So food or comida to 304-304 allows you to see all the sites that are operating, not just ours.
Wow. And I love the fact that you guys have teamed up with other sites to make sure that it's available for everybody. That's important with this need.
Yeah, we really try to scatter it across the community. And there are, again, regulations, which makes sense in the sense of these meals are designed to be provided in the vicinity of schools where half the children receive either free or reduced meals. Half or more of the student body in that vicinity of that school receives free or reduced meals, because the assumption then is that's a higher need community for this kind of a program. So that becomes kind of the basis for where we can place these meals. But we're operating sites this year in Stafford County, Spotsylvania County, Caroline County, and King George County. So.
And, you were just talking earlier about how you can go onto the website and you can register. My question is, how does a family qualify for these free summer meals? What goes into it?
Yeah, it's very simple in the sense that the tactic of the federal program is it's designed for those families that would need the support of a meal program. So it's kind of designed for those families that get free or reduced meals during the school year. But because it is a federal program and the commodities that we serve are being served with federally granted dollars, there cannot be an insistence on people proving that they deserve these meals. Simply a self-declaration that you want these meals for your child is enough to qualify for the program.
Okay. And once again, you can find all that information on the website previously mentioned. So what kind of items might a family find in their summer meal packages?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, obviously, we try to create that balanced meal program. So there's usually going to be some fruit, some grain, some vegetable product, some protein product, some dairy. So each meal is the 14 meals in a box. You can kind of choose how you put that together as a family, okay? Because it's all just sitting there in a box, and you decide what you want to eat on a given meal for a given day. At the congregate meal sites, then it is a planned menu that we'll put together usually like maybe a sandwich or a salad along with, say, a granola bar and some yogurt and a fruit, something of that nature. So, there really is a dietary balance to those meals, and then the boxes have that balance too. But if your child chooses to eat the Pop-Tarts along with the applesauce and the carrots, that's up to you. Okay.
They're a little mix up of different meals that just don't make sense to us adults, but it makes sense to the kids, right?
Right, exactly.
I love that. Okay, and how long will this summer nutrition program last?
Yeah, it really is designed by the design of the federal program to operate when school is out of session.
Okay.
So for most sites, it's going to end in very early August, depending on the schedule and the rhythm of when we are dropping off those grab-and-go boxes. Some sites operate Monday, some sites Tuesday, etc. So the last week of those operations will generally be the week that ends with August 9th.
Okay.
Because school is getting back in session, most jurisdictions right around that time.
Okay.
We do have one Saturday site that we operate. It's the Spotsylvania Farmers Market on Gordon Road, and that site is allowed to operate through the month of August. So we'll be there through August 24th is the Saturday when that ends.
Perfect. And I'm speaking with Dan, who is the president and CEO of Fredericksburg Regional Food Bank. Now, I love finding out the backstories and the interest that these programs, how they come about, right? And I would love to know, for you all, especially you, what motivates you to create this program for the community?
Basically, the high need is something that just really becomes a call to us, I think, to insert ourselves into the community to help address that. I mean, we are the largest hunger fighting organization in the community. We certainly don't operate in a vacuum. We work with all sorts of partners across the community. But the very nature of the Fredericksburg Regional Food Bank being the Feed in America network food bank for this region means that we have an obligation to solicit donated food product, purchase food product, and handle that food product in a way that helps all these partners have access to the supplies they need. So the fact that nobody else has the scale that we do, other than maybe the school districts themselves, really calls us, I think, to be there for the community. And, you know, I think the success of the program, especially in recent years coming through the pandemic and out of the pandemic, has shown us that we have a capacity to scale up and an efficiency that we can achieve that probably few partners within the community would be able to replicate. So I think we see it as partly a passion, obviously. We want to make sure these children are fed, but also just an obligation to the community.
Wow. And, you know, speaking of the community, how can the community get involved to help with this? Because I think there's plenty of volunteer opportunities. You guys run on volunteers, I'm sure. Yes. And there's plenty of ways to get involved. So if somebody's listening right now, they're like, hey, this sounds amazing. I'd love to do something this summer with kids. How can they get involved?
All right. Well, thanks, Tiffany, for being in my mind and my head. Because, yes, definitely, this cannot operate just on the backs of a few staff members or the dollars that come from the federal program. So I think people can get involved through volunteerism as the best way to get involved. And there are many ways to volunteer. These boxes of 14 meals a week certainly have to be put together. Not only the boxes themselves, but the food in the boxes, obviously. So we have an assembly line process that starts with the point of taping these boxes together, starting the box down the line, getting all the objects in the box, taping the box at the end of the line, putting it on a pallet, getting it stored away. So there's, usually 25, 30 slots on an assembly line that we need to get all this accomplished in a pretty efficient manner. So that's one way, and we do those packs 3 times a week. So if you think of us needing, 25, 30 volunteers 3 times a week, that's a lot of volunteer roles right there.
It sounds like an Amazon assembly line at that point.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah. And then the congregate meals, we actually prepare a meal. Now, it's a simple meal. It's not like a cooked meal. It's usually a sandwich or a salad or something of that nature. But we have a small kitchen in which those meals are assembled. Okay. So there's a role for kitchen assembly. And then the meals have to go to the people. So we have drivers on staff who get them to the sites, but we need volunteers at the sites to be able to distribute either the boxes or to monitor the feeding of the children when they're coming to a congregate site. So each of those distribution sites usually requires a handful of volunteers as well. And, the grab-and-go commitment would be to be at that site once a week. The congregate meal site would be a commitment to be at that site as frequently as you can be, but we have to be at those sites every day, Monday through Friday. So, there you can see there's just a lot of need to have staffing, which is generally going to be volunteer staffing, in place throughout the summer. And people can sign up at fredfood.org. There's a volunteer tab there. Those volunteer opportunities are listed. So if you've already been a volunteer at the food bank, all you need to do is go and sign up for an opportunity. If you've never volunteered at the food bank, simply register as a volunteer, and then you'll see all those opportunities and can sign yourself up. But please do that. And then finances are important. We do get most of our funding from the federal program, but fredfood.org is an opportunity to make a donation as well if you want to support our feeding of not only youth, but everyone throughout the summer.
So there's many ways to get involved. And from what I was understanding when you were describing the different ways to get involved as a volunteer, there's something for everybody. You can have any sort of skill set and you'll fit in.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's easily trainable. I mean, the best qualities of people are people who just get along with other people and can cooperate. I think, because we excuse me, the volunteer system is just we put a team together on the fly. And unless, as we sometimes do, groups pull together, like a church group or a business pulls together and sends us a group of people, and they become the assembly line or they become the staffing for a distribution location. That's great too.
Yeah.
And is a way for team building or, a group getting involved. But yeah, most often it's just a bunch of individualized volunteers who show up for the task at hand, and they quickly form a team and get it done. It's amazing, really.
That's awesome. And it's making new friends, making new connections in the community, which I also love too.
Yeah. It's really the way it works. And then, some people, either because of their ability to do so or the enjoyment of it, will come back very frequently during the summer for a particular task that they enjoy. But sometimes it could be as simple as a one-off thing, where maybe if it's your day off on, a Thursday and you want to get involved, come on out on that particular Thursday and do something to help. Those kinds of things can be helpful too. We don't need a long-standing commitment. We just need your interest.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to ask about if you want to commit to it, but you can't commit all summer long. Of course, some people may not be able to. So I love that you threw that out there too.
Yeah, I mean, some people come back, like I said, if it is where it's their day off that week, they may come back once a week. They may come back 5 times during the summer. Sometimes people come out just once during the course of the summer. And then some people, is usually retirees, I'd say, but some people, are out there virtually every day helping us with things. It's really amazing to see.
The real unsung heroes.
Yes, exactly.
I know you had mentioned the monetary donations, of course. Do you need food donations as well?
For this program, we do not. The food has to be a balanced diet, and the only way we can really ensure that is by purchasing food, because when we rely on donations, we don't know what we're going to get, which is valuable.
Of course.
We do want donated food generally, of course, across the course of the year, but when we actually have to assemble a meal that is balanced, we do that through purchasing the product. So, fortunately, the federal dollars reimburse what we purchase for the program, so food is not the highest need. It is things like supporting our staff time, helping with fuel for the vehicles, things like that is what really are the costs of the program. And some of that is reimbursed by the federal dollars as well. But, this is a real focus of our summer, but it's not the only thing we do during the summer.
Right.
We continue to operate all of our standard programs with our partner agencies within the community. So those obviously have expenses all summer long, too.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure, because I know a lot of people are probably thinking, I can donate food, but you can use it, just not for this program.
Yeah, and I would just put this out in general. Because of the way we're able to leverage dollars that are donated to the food bank, we have so much volunteer help throughout the course of the year, thankfully. And we have so much donated food product from federal programs or from retail partners in the community. Really, we can turn $1 into 2 meals because of all the ability to leverage things. So, dollars actually go further than even donated food.
And I'm speaking with Dan, the president and CEO of Fredericksburg Regional Food Bank. We've been talking about volunteer opportunities. Can I ask you, what would you say is like the most rewarding part of being a volunteer for this?
I think generally speaking, we hear people say it's the chance to know they're making a difference. Sometimes, depending on how people feel about the experience, sometimes it is that face-to-face encounter of giving a meal to a family as they come through a drive-through line or they're at a congregate site, because you see the gratitude maybe, or just by interacting with the family, you hear about the need that they're facing. That's very touching to many people. For some, the assembly line is touching because they're there for maybe 2-3 hours and they see, 500, 1,000 boxes put together.
Yeah.
They see the volume of impact in a very tangible way, where maybe they aren't then seeing the families, but they can just visualize the thousands of meals they have put together and can take some gratitude and heart from knowing that those meals are going out in the community. So kind of depends on what feeds your spirit, but I think generally it's the tangible aspect of knowing that you've made an impact.
And I think that's one of those things where you could make a monetary donation, but you don't see that impact until you actually go and visit whatever charity or nonprofit that you're helping with.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, dollars are critical. Let's never undersell those. Nonprofits rely on dollars. But you are making a great point that the more you can experience the situation of need, I think the more grateful you become for what you have. And I think it also makes you just more aware as a community citizen of what the community needs are. And sometimes, remarkably, makes you even more generous on the dollar front because you recognize, wow, these needs are real. I'm not just being told a story. I'm really seeing the story in action.
Wow. And like I said, I'm speaking with Dan, the president and CEO of Fredericksburg Regional Food Bank. You had mentioned it earlier. This is not the only program that happens throughout the summer. You're still having normal operations and throughout the year as well. So do you want to let us in on any of the upcoming events or other programs that we need to be aware of with the Fredericksburg Regional Food Bank?
Absolutely. I'd be glad to. Thank you. One program which complements our food distribution and that sometimes may not be understood that we offer it to the community is SNAP enrollment, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. We do help with enrollments for that because that gives people then the electronic benefit cards that they can go to a grocery store with and actually access food and use the federal dollars within the SNAP program that they're entitled to. So that you have to economically qualify, but we can walk someone through the process to see if they economically qualify, and then if they do, help them with the application process. So we have a staff member who does that. We have what's called an order ahead program, which is really a grocery order program. Just like you might do at a grocery store, you go online, you go through our menu, you choose the items that you want to pick up, and then you schedule a pre-appointment time for coming to pick up those items from our facility or a facility within the community. And so that is like any grocery order program within the community. It really respects, I think, the dignity of people in the sense that so often programs historically have been you have to kind of go to a site, maybe wait in line. You don't have much choice in what you receive because things have maybe been pre-bagged or pre-boxed. So this really helps people feel like it's a grocery experience as they're receiving charitable food assistance. Wow. And then our most significant programs are operated at our agency level, the community partner pantries. They receive food from the food bank, and then they have distributions across the community during the course of the year. And then we supplement that with what we call mobile pantries, where we take the food out in one of our trucks to a site where maybe we don't have brick and mortar pantries nearby, and we directly off the truck offer those food products to people as well. So the best way to be aware of that kind of programming within the community is to use our app, Fred Food VA. So again, Fred Food VA is an app that shows you where distributions are occurring across the region that we serve. And we serve the city of Fredericksburg, King George County, Spotsylvania County, Stafford County, Caroline County, and a sliver of Orange County, the Locust Grove zip code in Orange County. So a pretty broad sweep of the community. And then you asked about events. The one event I would highlight is September 14th. It's a Saturday. We're going to have an open house, which just is a way to expose the community to some of the things we do in a more tangible way. So if you've never volunteered, even if you have, you're welcome to come out to our open house. So that'll be the morning of Saturday, September 14th at our location, 480 Central Road in Fredericksburg. So keep an eye out for social media. We're out there via Facebook, LinkedIn, X, as well as Instagram. So keep an eye out for postings about the open house, and everybody's welcome to come out and enjoy a visit to the food bank that day.
Always got a lot going on over there.
We really do. Yeah, absolutely. It's a busy place.
I love it. Well, Dan, thank you so much for coming in today and sharing about the need in the community, the summer program for those who do need it. And I do want to point this out there, and I like to say this at the end of the show. It's okay to ask for help. I always want to make sure people know that.
Yeah, there's never any shame in needing to benefit from some assistance, and that's why organizations like the Food Bank exist. So thank you, Tiffany, for the chance to promote what we do and talk about the community needs.
Of course. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
And that'll do it for In the Community this week. If you are a nonprofit and need to bring attention to your cause or organization, please reach out through this station's website, and we will see you next week.